The Shepnaz podcast begins now.
Welcome to the Shepnaz podcast. I'm Joe and I'm your host today. And today we are continuing our conversation with those that went to Uganda. And there's some that stayed here all night long to be here the following day and be part of this second episode. They weren't all excited about having to stay a whole nother day, but they were troopers and did it anyway. So we really appreciate them doing that. Welcome back in, Pastor Bryanna.
Thank you for having us.
Yes.
Once again.
And it was nice that you all chose to wear the same clothes today, so that works out really well. If you didn't catch the first episode, I encourage you to go back and listen yesterday as we shared some of the adventures of them kind of coming together as a group and this kind of the origins of this mission trip and getting to Uganda. And that's kind of where we left it off yesterday. So now we've arrived in Uganda with everybody's luggage and a little more. And we finally got that returned about day 3. But during all that, let's start to get into the discussion of what was Uganda like. Now, I know this was old hat for Bryanna at this point, but for the rest of you, this is completely new territory. So who would like to share first about kind of first impressions as you are getting off the plane and heading to where you're going to be in Uganda?
Well, my first impression was I almost got hit by a car in the parking lot.
At the airport?
Yeah, you don't remember that?
No.
Yeah, and then that was Andrew's like, yeah, they like to hoot a lot.
Yes.
You remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I was just standing there, and apparently there, like, cars take precedence over pedestrians, where, like, here pedestrians take precedence over cars. And, like, I almost got hit by a car, so...
Yeah, traffic there is crazy. I think that's the first thing that... So we got there really late at night, so it's not technically the first thing I recognized, but the first day that we were there and kind of out, that was definitely the first thing I recognized was the traffic. So they have very few lights. They don't have like lines in the road. There's not a lot of traffic signs or doesn't appear to be very many traffic rules, laws, or kind of regulations. There are these like motorcyclists called boda-bodas. And it's kind of like a Uber motorcycle, like you just kind of, or a taxi in a sense, because you kind of just stand there and wave them down and jump on the back and tell them where you need to go. And they're like zoom, zoom in between the cars, in between the potholes that are the size of a car. Yeah, they were.
And you're hanging on for dear life.
Oh, yeah.
Try not to get your limbs cut off.
It's actually quite an adventure to ride on the back of one. It was, I think, one of the best parts of the trip for me.
Yeah, so I think what stood out to me was probably as we made our way, because we did an orientation like one of those first days, but as we made our way through the city was just the number of vendors that we saw along the streets. I think that's what a majority of how they make their income over there, it seems, was just vendor after vendor after vendor. And also, as Jody mentioned, the condition of the streets, the traffic. But another thing that really stood out amidst all the traffic was just the sheer air pollution itself.
Yeah.
There's really I don't think any restrictions on emissions whatsoever. I mean, it was just the constant fog over there in the air. So that stood out to me. We were over there at a great time from a temperature standpoint. The weather was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was, I think, during a dry season. Was it that we were there? Or was it more of a wet season? That time of the year. Anyways, it was 70s, no humidity. Temperature was awesome. So that part of it, I'll remember leaving the heat here.
Yeah.
Because it was much more cooler over there
Yeah.
than the time that we were there. But yeah, I think that, as we took off that first day, that stood out to me a lot. Those are my first impressions were just the sheer number of, as we were driving down the roads, the vendors, just continuous just along the street selling things. No matter where you went, that's a majority of what you saw. Yeah.
As far as kind of, and this is for anyone, your impressions, like how did it match up with what your perception of being in Africa? Did it seem like it was the Africa that you were expecting, or was it different? And if it was different, how was it different to you than maybe what your expectations were? From the dirt, the color of the roads and everything, I think it's what I anticipated. Because we were more in the Kampala, the city itself. As we made our way outside of Kampala, into more of where the villages were out towards Subi, and into the neighborhood where we served, I think it's more what I anticipated of what I expected to see. The poverty levels is what I expected to see, which was very eye-opening, very hard to see and experience on more levels. I think some parts of it was worse than what I thought I expected to see. Yeah. Which was something that I'll always remember, how impactful it was to me as a human being to witness that. For all of us, I think we can all say that that's something we'll take with us, because it was something that you try to prepare for and you think that you'll experience, but to actually be there and see what they go through day to day, and still push on and carry on the way they do is amazing. Yeah.
I think one of the things that I noticed, I think everybody, like we said, it's dirt poor, nothing like you would ever see in the United States. But these people have so much joy. And it is amazing because, we look at our life and boo-hoo, I don't have this, or I'm going through this, all these things that, we think are so terrible. And then you look at these people and, they are thankful for their surroundings. They feel blessed because of what God has done for them. And even though they're going through trials that we would never face here, they, like I said, they just have joy.
Yeah, maybe some of the things where, as you mentioned, we maybe are thinking about material things in that part of the world, at least in those areas that you're talking about, like they're in tune with, hey, we have sun today, and we had enough nourishment to get through another day, and there's water. I mean, things that we would never really give thought to, that they truly feel that this is a blessing, that I have this. It is. So how was it for you guys? What were some of your perceptions of what you thought it was going to be? Did it match what you perceived, or was it different than what you thought?
I think I knew we were going into I don't know, I feel like I had an expectation, but not really. But when I got there, it was kind of this is really the movies. You see it in the movies, but you don't think anything about it. But actually being there, I just remember I kept saying it's a whole different world over here. It's a whole different world, and I really don't think anyone can really grasp what I mean by that until you actually go. Just because it's so vastly different from what we have here, and the lifestyle, just everything is so different. The respect for your elders, or your respect for others, or everything like that is just so different than here, where we have kids who are so disrespectful to their parents, where that would never be tolerated whatsoever. So I think just seeing that really just kind of blew my mind. it's just it's honestly like in a way like they feel like they have nothing, like because they don't have anything tangible, or sometimes they feel like they don't have everything, but like when we all looked at them, like we think that you guys have everything, like so
What matters?
Yeah. No, I think that overall, in general, think that it gave a lot of us, especially for me, perspective of kind of the things that we take advantage of in life. The luxuries and comforts that we have being born in a time such as this, right? Being born in America, having the opportunities that we have, the comforts mostly, we don't realize how comfortable we are, as bad as we think we might have it sometimes. And like, Caitlin and everybody else has said, it's really something that you can't imagine. It's something that you really have to experience. I think that a lot of us expected to see areas where there's no running water, right? Where there's dirt roads, kind of free animals, free range, right? Animals. But I don't think what we expected to see was, like Val said, the joy that they have, the faith that they have in God, the gratitude that they have for the small things. Like, the place that we stayed in was pretty much like an Airbnb, what we would consider Airbnb. But it didn't have air conditioning, right? There were consistent like rolling blackouts. So there were times where we came back in the middle of the day and there was no power, no electricity, no Wi-Fi. We couldn't take a shower. And these were small things, right, that we're all used to having, like, to be somewhere, to go out, do some activity, get sweaty, kind of, overexert yourself. You want to go back home or wherever you're staying at and be comfortable, whether that's taking a shower or just getting some cool air on you and, realizing like, man, this isn't what we came here for, right? Yeah. And so, the part 2 of learning how to take up the cross and die to yourself, right? Denying ourselves the things that we're used to that keep us comfortable in the name of the Lord, because that's what we were there for, and just embracing that moment and learning how grateful we can be for the things that we do have when we get back home. But the other thing too, I think you guys really touched on was the community aspect, because I think that's something that we miss here a lot. I remember we were driving, you guys remember that banana truck that was flipped over, and like all the people,
everybody
just came together trying, literally, I've never seen people trying to push a truck over.
Everybody that was available was there trying to
Just
lift this truck back up that had tipped over with bananas.
Yeah.
I had to share it, and I shared it with Valerie, like the second night we were there. And I had an opportunity to share it at our dinner the last night, and I think it brought most of them to tears, and because it brought me to tears when I thought about it when I was talking with Valerie the second night. But Winston Churchill had called Uganda the Pearl of Africa, and that second night we were there, it only took 2 days, but that second night I told Valerie, I said, I know why they call it the Pearl of Africa, and it's the people.
Yeah.
It's the people that make it the Pearl of Africa.
Make me cry.
I know.
It's not
Here we go.
You guys are going to get it started.
And I truly meant that, because, and it goes back to what Valerie had shared and what Jody is talking about, is the community of people, but the joy that those people have, and the spirit that you saw at that Watoto service that we went to on Sunday. I encourage anyone listening to this podcast to pull up a Watoto service on YouTube and watch a Watoto church service on Sunday morning, or any opportunity that they have just to pull it up and give it a view. It's incredible. just the energy and just to be a part of that was incredible. It was really, really neat to be a part of. And it was really neat because they, if you're first time going there, they announced our group.
Nice.
From Shepherd. I think they announced us all the way from Ohio, and that was really cool to be announced during the service. But yeah, that was really neat to be a part of that. And the different services they have during the day. But yeah, so.
Now, you had mentioned, seeing their ministry, and actually you guys got to be more involved in that. I know that there has been some connections between Shepherd and Watoto in the past, and at one point we had given some gifts, and I think you guys got to see a little bit of how that became manifest. Would some of you like to share about that and kind of what you saw become reality from the gift that was given from here in Bryanna?
Yeah. So back in February, we had a soup and salad or soup and dessert dinner. And through that and everybody that attended and bought tickets, we were able to raise $1,000 to give to Watoto. And they took that money and essentially put that towards like a project we're a part of. So they put that towards this project called CAGIS, so Keep a Girl in School. And so we got to spend a day. We went to one of the schools in Uganda, and essentially what Keep a Girl in School does is they have soap and hygiene and feminine products for teenage girls that typically would drop out of school or would miss a lot of school because of their menstrual cycle. And so by this program, they go in and they pass out these products that will essentially keep them in school. And so we got to be a part of that. We got to pass out these things, and we also got to do like a Bible lesson in the classrooms and kind of just build those connections with the kids. And that was such a special day, just getting to interact with them. And they were just like so grateful, like just to get a bar of soap, like something like a bar of soap, you know what I mean? Like something like we wouldn't give a second thought, but they're just so grateful, like thank you, or so it was really special getting to be a part of that, and that the fact that Shepherd got to be a part of that. So I sound like a broken record, I talk about this all the time, but like there's really so many ways you can support missions, and by people just buying tickets to come to the soup and salad dinner. Like if you're listening to this and you came, you got to support girls staying in school and receiving an education, and that's a big deal. So yeah.
For sure. And there was a couple other things, and I'm sure I won't know all of them, but tell me a little bit about, I know you guys had some opportunity to hold some babies. How did that happen?
It depends on what kind of baby we're talking about. Jeff held a pig, and he's holding it, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like,
Jeff, we have a special place for you.
Yeah. You're like, that pig's pooping on you.
That was the first.
Yeah, he got pooped on by a baby pig.
Jeff had quite
a couple
special
times.
experiences.
He got pooped on many times.
A couple times.
Yeah.
No, but the babies were, that was my favorite part, is getting to be with those babies. There was a 16-year-old mother that had quadruplets.
Oh, wow.
And of course, she had no idea how to take care of them. A lot of us wouldn't know how to handle 4 babies, let alone a single mom. So Caitlin and I, we were in that baby room. So it was great. It was so fun, just loving on those babies and hugging them, and we kept thinking we just want to sneak them in our suitcase or something.
Just wanted to adopt them.
Yeah. What's cool about Watoto is like going back, so like the quadruplets, like, sometimes you do have orphans come in, like babies that are abandoned, but they also help like reunite mothers with their kids. So for this one, they're taking care of the babies until the mother gets old enough and like more stable that she can take them home, and like they do visits. So like she had just come to see them, and so that's like also what's really cool about Watoto is they really do just like strive to keep the family unit together, because unfortunately a lot of it comes down to poverty. Like they just aren't able to afford to take care of the kids, and they give them up, and so they strive to like help and bring a solution to that. So
Sure.
Yeah.
And they call that Watoto Baby or
Baby's home. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Baby Watoto.
So they have that, and then eventually, the older group is what kind of the regular Watoto village that we're aware of as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Baby's home is in the village, and so they house infants up through 2 years old, and then they transition them into the homes with the mothers, and they live with siblings and stuff like that once they hit 2 years
They
old.
go to regular elementary school.
Yeah, they'll go to like preschool and school as they get older. So
Now, I know Jeff started to hit on it a little bit of like how this experience has moved you. I wanted to open it up to anyone else that wanted to share of like, was God showing you some things during this week? I mean, I've heard it said many times that people go on mission trips and they think they're there to minister to other people, and then they find out that God had them there so that they could learn something. So would anyone like to, you're all nodding your head, so I think you have something to say.
I'll go. So for me, one of the biggest things that I took from this mission trip is that learning to be okay with less to get more. You know, the Bible talks about God wanting us to live in abundance and overflow. And for me, for a long time, I thought that meant that, you know, once God got me out of poverty and helped me become financially stable, that the money that I had in addition to, you know, paying my monthly expenses and taking care of my kids was for me. And so I, instead of, you know, doing what God probably wanted me to do with that money, I used it to, you know, buy stuff, right? Clothes and shoes and things for my children. But going on this trip really showed me that the abundance and overflow isn't about material things. It isn't about stuff. In America, we're taught to just go, work, so we can buy, and consume. But being there and seeing how the love that they have for community, how like it really does take a village to raise a child, just the richness and love that they have, even with the lack of material things, showed me that those are the things that God considers abundance and overflow, for us to find joy and happiness in His creation and the will that He has for our life.
Amen.
yeah. Come on, Pastor Jody. Let's go.
Anyone else want to share?
I would say we participated in something called like the neighborhood, and we went into what they called like the slums, and it was where there was like the most poor parts of Uganda basically. And we took this lady some food, hygiene products, stuff like that, and we brought it to her, and when we did, she just fell to her knees and started crying. And I think it was just so humbling to see that, like, that's all they want. Like, they're so grateful. And then just hearing her story, what I felt like God was working on me was just that you have to be appreciative for what we do have. Like, I mean, I'm an only child, so, like, I'm a little spoiled sometimes. So, like, it's just teaching me how to be more appreciative for what I have, and, like, realizing that you don't need everything, or you don't need, like, basically what Jody was saying, you don't need the material things. It's really about, like, the people that you have around you and stuff like that. And I think another thing was the fact that the lady, she continued, like, to have faith, even though her story and everything that could go wrong went wrong with her. And she had many times to turn away from God and say, like, no, if there was such a God, like, why would He do this to me? But she didn't. She kept pursuing God, where I hear a lot of times people hear, though, one thing will go wrong with God, and they're like, well, there isn't no God. And I think just her faith made me want to have more faith because of everything that she'd been through. And she's still, like, pursuing God and believing that He's going to keep doing what He's said He would do.
Amen.
We had two different experiences with the like you said, the neighborhood, the poorest of the poor, because Josh and we went to one house and they went to another. This woman didn't even have a door. Her house was about half the size of this, and that entailed one
And
half.
by the way, this is small.
She had 5 kids.
Yeah.
Well, the one didn't live there anymore.
Right.
But yeah, she had an older son, and she was a single mom then. The gentleman, the father of the son, kicked him out or whatever, and then her other husband died, and she had 3 other children with him. He died of cancer, but through all that, she became a Christian. They were Muslim. She was able to lead her husband before he died, so they will someday be reunited. But same thing, she was so thankful. But the one thing, she did not speak any English, so there was constantly an interpreter. And Josh told me later that she said, please ask them to take my children back to America. That she would be willing to give up her child just for a better life. You know, and that really...
Was that the baby?
She was...
Yeah, well, not the baby. She wanted the two
The
girls.
older,
The two
yeah.
older girls. She wanted us to take them
So,
back with us.
But the interpreter, she said, no, I'm not gonna ask that of them. It was like, wow, you know, that's a lot of love.
Yeah. To be able to say, I'll look past what I would want for the better of someone else and for her. Anyone else would like to share?
So I'll just share that it was just an incredible experience for this group as a whole. I love these guys. It was bringing, we were all pseudo strangers.
Yeah.
But as you said in the very beginning, yesterday's podcast, we've grown to love each other. It didn't take long. We meshed well, and I think we'll have a lot more time together, I hope, in the future. And I think we've all said we want to go back.
Uganda part 2.
So, but yeah, it was a lot for us to come home with, and I encourage anyone to do it because it's life-changing.
Amen.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a great place for us to leave it. I will tell you that Jeff and Valerie are going to be leading a whitewater rafting tour. They have stories to tell. We won't put them on the air, but you can go ask them about it. If you are looking for an opportunity to be involved in missions, we do have a Texas Relief Mission project that's happening in September. You can find out more details at shepnaz.org. For Pastor Bryanna and the Uganda crew, I'm Joe. Have a great day. This podcast is a production of the Shepherd Church of the Nazarene, Gahanna, Ohio. Email to podcast@shepnaz.org and let us know what you think.